Hi everyone. I'm currently babysitting. There's a little baby monitor right there. So I'm gonna try and be quiet because the baby is sleeping. But I'm still using my time to do homework. So I'm going to do a vlog post about Goblin Market based off a conversation that we had in class a while ago. When we were first talking about it. We talked about how Rossetti was known for assisting women who were involved in prostitution and how she had an organization for it, I believe, actually. So I was just going to talk about what that made me think about in terms of the poem itself. So we talked about how Lizzie, I don't remember, I have to figure out which one it was. Okay, Lizzie, I get them confused all the time. Lizzie represented like a Christ figure, and that made sense because of how it relates to the story of the Bible, or that specific story of the Bible. We're talking about eating like temptation fruit, like forbidden fruit. That's very similar to the story of the Bible. And she succumbs and eats the forbidden fruit, and we see the consequences that she suffers because of that. But there was one part of what we talked about that I felt could go two ways. I remember us talking about how it used to be considered in the era that men who became involved with prostitutes, they were like corrupted by the prostitute, that they were the innocent one and they were, accidentally corrupted. So I kind of felt like the poem could be taken two ways, but that was surprising to me because of the background that we got about Rossetti. We talked about how the goblins, the ones that, like the goblins represented men that would get women to be involved in prostitution. But at the same time, I felt like you could also take it as, it really depended on your view of the situation. Because if you did take it that the men were corrupted by the prostitutes, then the women would then be the goblins. So I thought that distinction was interesting because no matter which viewpoint you had on the situation of prostitution in the Victorian era, you could take the poem two very different ways. So basically, we talked about in class how the goblins were the men and they tempted the women into prostitution by saying, you'll get this, and it made sense that way. But then digging deeper into it, when we were told that the men were considered corrupted by the prostitute in that era, you could also take it that the women, the prostitutes, are the goblins, and they are corrupting the men who got involved with prostitution, and they're the innocent ones. So it was really interesting to see that it could really be taken two completely different ways. I am more supportive of the fact that the men are the goblins and the women are, brought into that. But it was interesting to see that it could go two ways. We see how, like biblical salvation and salvation for, like, the choice of being a prostitute or a sex worker, they're both apparent in Goblin Market. Yeah, I think that's about it.